Nurses across the UK are set to vote on strike action over pay for the first time. The Royal College of Nursing is balloting 300,000 of its members, recommending that they vote in favour of action. Nurses are calling for a rise of 5% above the inflation rate, which has now surpassed 10%. According to the RCN, average pay had fallen by 6% between 2011 and 2021. The union is also inviting the public to co-sign a letter that will be sent to the UK Prime Minister Liz Truss backing its stance. Along with 50,000 nurses, 380,000 members of the Unison Union are also set to vote on the issue. According to the RCN, if strike action does go ahead, some nurses would continue to work to ensure emergency and urgent care services can continue. Well, for more on this, our correspondent Alex Isaac joins us from London now. Alex, can you just give us a bit more background to this vote? Why are nurses considering strike action right now?
This strike action amongst nurses has been rumbling on for quite a while, actually. You mentioned there that the pay has been cut over 6% over the last decade, and they haven't done any strike action for 109 years. So this is actually a really big deal for them if they go ahead. The Royal College of Nursing has been trying to push for years to change the way that hospitals and GP clinics are working, to give more to nurses for the time and their energy as well. We saw throughout the COVID that people were clapping in the street for our NHS and nurses, and all they want instead of that respect, well, they obviously want the respect as well, but they also want the pay rise, which they feel that they deserve. During COVID, we saw lots of nurses actually leave the profession because they were overworked and they were struggling, and they are asking just for a bit of extra money in line with inflation. And obviously one of many people who are striking at the moment, all of these organisations are just wanting a fair pay rise increase.
So Alex, if nurses do decide to vote to walk out, if that ballot does go ahead, and of course the result is that they believe that Royal College of Nursing nurses should do that, how are health services in the UK going to be affected?
Well, if they do decide to walk out, and obviously they are voting from today until the 2nd of November, so we won't know exactly when they decide to walk out, of course, if the ballot goes through and they all agree. So it could well potentially be next spring or summer, but people obviously worry that if they do leave, they're going to be leaving in winter, and that will affect a lot of those emergency care. But the RCN has said that no matter what happens, if they do go for the vote ballot, that they will try and make sure that there is enough cover so that patients don't miss out. But ultimately, there seems to be quite a lot of support from patients as well. A YouGov poll suggested that 77% of the people that they asked are in favour of these strikes going ahead. Of course, we are all concerned about going to the hospital and making sure we get the right healthcare, but it does seem at the moment that there is a little bit of a concern with the NHS itself. Even Liz Truss said in her closing statement at the conference that she needed to get this fixed. So it's a case of, if they do decide to go ahead, there will obviously be people in place, and the worst case scenarios we saw during COVID, that the army will come in and help out.
We've been seeing a lot of strike action in the UK over the summer. We've seen votes on postal workers walking out, lawyers, among other sectors. So is this so-called summer of discontent going to move over into a winter of discontent here?
Yes, I believe so. I think it is likely. Only last weekend we saw all of these groups that you just mentioned, they come together, and enough is enough at King's Cross, and they all stood together and they all said, we've been struggling for many years. I think this also wasn't helped by the 45p tax, which obviously is now a U-turn has been on that, but it does seem that all of those new policies that were put in place by Liz Truss's new government were for the bankers and those of a wealthy pay bracket. So those people who are on the lower end of the scale are really concerned. They haven't had any pay rises for a long time, and they just were asking for money in line with inflation. But it looks like this is never ending, really. Of course, there is potential that policies and legislation will be changed again in the coming months, when we're hearing from the Chancellor and Liz Truss's government on exactly what can be done to stop this strike action happening. But ultimately, it's not likely to be stopped anytime soon. We've still got, even this month, we've still got some more strike action coming, and the postal workers are still going to be striking. So it looks like, yes, we will see a winter of discontent, and who knows, into next year, while we're all still struggling with the cost of living that we're still facing.